This is Internet Computer ICP, and it is testing a major resistance right here. What I'm talking about is the daily 200 SMA. This is on the daily chart, and I've been talking about a couple of patterns that have been playing out as I've talked about. One of which is this falling wedge pattern, which it broke out from on December 2nd. Price target for this pattern is still valid. It's about $6.20. Even though after the breakout, you see a downtrend before a rebound, that is not uncommon to see out of a steep falling wedge pattern breakout because you're going to get quite a bit of resistance above the price action. Now, it has also formed a few more falling wedge patterns here since the last one I talked about with you guys, which has broken to the upside and has met its price target and some more. As you guys can see here, this is on the 4-hour time frame. So let me go ahead and clear out some of these charts here, and you guys can see more clearly what's happening with ICP in the short term. Now, it is still very important for ICP to get a solid daily candle close above the daily 200 SMA, which is at about $4.50. It has not been above that moving average for all types of significance since breaking below it back in November, mid-November. So that is the thing to be paying attention to in the very short term. Now, in the longer time frame, of course, we're going to come back here and talk about it because it is not possible to talk about any altcoins without talking about Bitcoin first. So we're going to switch over to the Bitcoin chart before coming back to the ICP chart here. Now, for Bitcoin, which is the driver of this crypto markets, if you guys are new to crypto and don't know that, you guys definitely need to know because Bitcoin, whenever there's money flowing into Bitcoin, chances are this capital flow is going to be flowing into the altcoins. And I have my panel set up like this so I can get a sequential view of the capital flow. I have Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum, and total 3. Now, for Bitcoin here, the key test is going to be about that 100K to 102,000 price range because that's where your weekly moving averages are stacked. That is your weekly 21 SMA, weekly 50 SMA, all just slightly above 100,000. And of course, 100,000 is a psychological number. So very important to see Bitcoin break out of this upward trend line here to avoid a falling wedge scenario, which is still a real scenario here. I've been talking about a few bottoming signals for Bitcoin, however, and I still do think that crypto has more chance of rebounding than going to the downside and getting rejected here. Now, could it take a little bit of time or consolidation before Bitcoin break above this 100K level? Possibly, but I still think that there is a more likelihood that Bitcoin makes higher highs as well as crypto. But of course, if new data comes in and it proves the otherwise, I will bring you guys an update because I am not a perma bull or perma bear. I trade with reasons on both sides. I am long on quite a bit of altcoins here, so my opinions and outlook on this market is still bullish on crypto in general. But these are just my opinions, not financial advice. Like the entirety of this video, you guys gotta form your own opinions and strategies. So that is one level I'll be paying attention to for Bitcoin. And of course, I talked about this pattern here yesterday, this falling wedge pattern. If you guys are new to this trading, this is the pattern that is probably the most common and why you guys should be spotting these patterns in order to stack the odds in your favor. Because falling wedges are bullish patterns that have a higher chance of breaking to the upside. This one broke to the upside just a couple of hours ago. Price target would be about just right above 97.5 for Bitcoin. So there could be some short-term bullish price action coming for Bitcoin and quite a bit of the altcoins here, according to this chart. I am looking for a short opportunity to hedge against my long positions when somewhere around that price target. Now, I'm still looking for lower time frame confirmation, so that is what I'm looking for. Let's take a look back into some news headlines here. This is by Cointelegraph. I'll give you guys my instant reaction before coming back to the ICP charts. Now, Cointelegraph, 3 reasons why Bitcoin's real breakout towards 107,000 has begun. So this is definitely a bullish headline. Let's take a look into why they're saying this. It says Bitcoin could reclaim 100,000 as support and rally towards 107,000 in the coming days, driven by a combination of supportive technical and fundamental metrics. Key takeaways: Bitcoin's breakout is gaining traction, backed by bullish technicals and fading selling pressure. I mean, this is kind of vague, right? I mean, if you guys it doesn't really give me any solid reasons, and this is why we dissect the news here every day, just so we can think critically about what's going on in the media. Because I don't trust a lot of things I see in the media, and I really just look for reasoning that makes sense. But right now, it's still pretty vague. Like, what exactly are these bullish technicals? Now, I have my own ideas of the signals that I'm looking at, but I mean, I'm reading their news, and I would like to know what their reasons are. The next key point here says macro signals lean bullish with liquidity expansion and divergence between Bitcoin and gold. So I could kind of talk about this because macro signals lean bullish. Now there was a headline about liquidity expansion in the US. I think that was back in December 12th, where the Federal Reserve was going what was doing more stealth quantitative easing, or what they would call quantitative QE light, where they were buying back treasuries, so not exactly injecting liquidity into the system, but they're printing money to buy back US treasuries. You guys can look that up. That is in mid-December, and that is considered as QE. So that is also good when you get more liquidity in the system, because that would likely rotate into the markets. Now, there's also divergence between Bitcoin and gold. So the speculation is if investors actually take profits from this gold rally that has been happening for quite some time now, and if any of that actually rotates into crypto, which could be very significant, and it's not unreasonable to think that, because, well, the precious metals market is a market cap of above 30 trillion the last time I checked. Crypto has a market cap of just right above 3 trillion. So if any of that trickles into crypto in a short period of time, that could be significant for bullish price action for crypto. All right, let's go ahead and take a look into ICP and finish up the bigger chart here, because the bigger picture is more important. Now, the bigger picture is this, and I've been talking about this for probably the last year, and very little has changed. This is the beauty about technical analysis, is once you actually get a market structure, you can see the price action just ranging in the market structure or the pattern, and it makes it a lot easier to get better entries and exits. ICP on the weekly time frame here has been running within this huge falling wedge pattern that has been forming since March of 2024, and that was basically the end of the last real bullish cycle, quote unquote, because Bitcoin didn't really make higher highs. It really just came back up to 2024. However, you saw a lot of these altcoins just getting hammered during that time. Now, ICP, this falling wedge pattern is still valid. It is a bullish pattern that have a higher chance of breaking to the upside. Always mind the lower chance that they could still break down, because I've seen that happen. This is all about probabilities. Now, there are two patterns here to pay attention to. One, of course, is the bigger falling wedge pattern. If it breaks out by this point, for example, price target is going to be about $21 for ICP. Price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. A lot of which does depend on what happens with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin has more room to go up, which I still think it does right now, then that's going to be more. It's going to be higher probability that these altcoins break through and achieve their price targets. However, if Bitcoin rolls over, so if Bitcoin has a bearish setup in the similar time frames, then the chances of these altcoins breaking out and achieving their price targets are going to be much lower. There was also a double bottom pattern here I talked about last time, and that is also playing out. Double bottoms are also bullish patterns. One bottom coming here on the week of October 13th. Second bottom, there has been a couple of weeks ending on December 22nd that is playing out with bullish divergence, and I've been talking about that as well. You guys can check my previous ICP videos. All right, so with that said, let's take a look into what's happening with ICP on the shorter term. Just to finish up here, this is on the 6-hour time frame. Falling wedge pattern. How do you measure the price target of a falling wedge pattern? You measure the opening of the pattern, you put it on top of an estimated breakout point. And if it breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be about just right above $5 here. That is an estimate. Now, it is on a short-term support right now, the 6-hour 21 SMA. If that does not hold, the next key support to be paying attention to is going to be your 12-hour 200 SMA, the orange line, currently at about $3.85. So this is basically what I'm seeing for ICP on the longer time frame down to even the short time frames. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of ICP by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. If enough of you guys want to see it, I will bring you guys an update, and I'll see you guys on the next one.